What's up, Mortgage Coach community? This is a prep call. So we have not even prepped about what we're going to talk about other than we know conceptually. Real quick backstory first. We just launched the debt consolidation analysis in the Mortgage Coach. And so anyone listening to this, you now have new superpowers. You've always been able to do a debt consol in Mortgage Coach, but we've got even more superpowers to do it at a new level. And so I'm calling the smartest people I know about market strategies, and Julian Hebron is at the top of the list. First guy I reached out to saying, hey, Julian, this is what we're doing. What do you think? What's up, dude?
Hey, man. How are you? You're too kind.
Well, it is just from the heart. Julian was a mortgage coach back when he was a top producer for Wells Fargo. OG mortgage coach.
That's right.
He's been, chief marketing officer for RPM/Lend US. He had a stint where you were the EVP of messaging. What was it? Strategy when you were with Loan Depot?
Brand, yeah.
With brand strategy. So, I mean, he knows
Loan Depot, yeah.
the biggest platforms from a lender side. And then he also knows the C-suite of some of the biggest technology companies in the industry. So he's got a very unique perspective. He is the founder of the Basis Point. If you aren't reading the Basis Point, he's not as consistent with updating it as of late, but
busy,
but still subscribe to it. When he puts content out, it's pure gold. So bro, what I want to do is, this is prep, and I want to do a 30-minute where you and I together say like, hey, loan officers, hey, C-suite, here are 3 just awesome market opportunities for 2021. And I think one of them is debt consol, because I do believe one thing we know that won for sure in 2020 is equity. Families got more equity. We could talk about that. And then another thing that I know for sure is fear won. I mean, it created a whole new level of uncertainty, fear of lockdown, fear of job loss, fear of living in big cities. And so I do think people, they might want to use some of that equity, and they might want to have more money in the bank, and they may want to have less debt. I'm just thinking, maybe. What do you think about that, Julian?
Yeah. So let's face it, we're going to be facing about 1 trillion fewer refis. This 2020 was about 2 trillion in refis. 21 is going to be about 1 trillion in refis. To be very, very specific, 2020 was 60% refi at 2.15 trillion. 2021 is going to be about 43% refi at 1.19 trillion. So the bad news is 1 trillion less in refis. The good news, there's still 1 trillion in refis, and so many of those for the smarter players can be in that realm of cash out, debt consolidation, and so forth because of the great equity position. So I'll pause there, but I will share a couple of other stats, but I'm curious if you have a reaction to that. I can share the purchase side of that coin too, but let's stay on debt consol for a sec.
So guys, also our goal is to vet, hey, there's all these opportunities. There's a dozen, there's 6 really obvious ones, but what are the 3 top? And we're just riffing right now, guys. We're prepping. And obviously, because we came out with a new debt consolidation feature, and we did it with purpose and intention, and we did it because we were asked to do it by a lot of clients of ours. So I think that's going to be one of the top 3. What do you think some of the others are, or what are some stats to support that, if you have any?
Yeah. So, the kind of the keeper of the most highly reliable equity stats is Black Knight, right? And so they don't do this every single month. They sometimes do it quarterly, but they've spent so much time focusing on forbearance data and so forth lately that we don't have up to the month numbers. But these are still the most current numbers available from 3Q 2020, and 6.59 trillion in home equity, right? So that equity measurement is up to 80 LTV. So equity available on residential properties with an existing mortgage before reaching a CLTV of 80%, there's 6.5 trillion in equity in America, right? So for those that do tons of purchase business and also operate at very very high LTVs, maybe this opportunity isn't as focused on you at the moment, but for so many other folks, obviously it's a gigantic opportunity. I think that everyone is sort of watching their bond screens, whichever one you watch, whether it's Dave's Rate Watch or any of the other ones out there. It hasn't been a great last weekend or so for the market as the election as the new Washington is taking shape. But that generally means you guys know this. It's because the economy is moving. So the equity positions, all signs point to we're not going to have some imminent housing price correction. So that I anticipate that those equity positions maintain or grow. So it's a huge opportunity.
So, by the way,
Even if rates are a little higher is what I was trying to say about the rates. And by the way, I think that we have a little bit of wood to chop, on the recovery, and we have this initial spike, coming over 1% on the 10-year, but I hope that we level off a little bit here. That's my prediction. I don't anticipate like a crazy spike, and I and everyone else can be wrong on that stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. By the way, Clayton Collins just weighed in and he said, hey there, gents. So what's
up, Clayton?
Feel free to jump in on this conversation, brother, if you have questions, and know that we are prepping for a tighter 30-minute netted out stats, facts, mortgage coach personalization and localization of those. So something really rad is coming soon. So what about the thought of another big opportunity for loan officers is move up, like to be able to tell a move up story to a family in a really compelling type way, and to be able to partner with realtors to create content to like say, hey, families, you should be, not like pitching move ups, but like, hey, let us analyze this for you and let us figure out what's right for your family. Should you move up? Should you leverage the equity in your home? Like we're just these financial makeover artists. What are your thoughts on the move up opportunity?
I will come back to that in a sec, but there's one more note before we move off debt consolidation. And again, we'll do this granular with visuals. This is just prep, but I just rattle off a couple things I think are interesting for folks that don't follow this stuff as closely. But just in terms of, I don't want to say this the wrong way, but the only upside of record non-housing debt levels is the debt consolidation play, right? So just to rattle them off, and we'll do some visuals next time. But the latest, Fed data available on this: student loans, 1.55 trillion, credit cards, 0.81 trillion, auto loans, 1.36 trillion, right? So these numbers are so large, and if you marry that with the also large home equity figures, it is definitely something for the profiles that it fits for. We know that the interest rates are way lower. Just be careful on the tax deductibility. I think that people forget that non-purchase mortgage debt is not tax deductible. So when you loan officers out there, when you're selling debt consolidation, you can't say convert your non-deductible interest into deductible interest, because that's not a true statement. So I just wanted to kind of make that point for the loan wonks out there.
Yeah, and before we go off that, I do want to show one visual just because it's a new mortgage coach superpower, and we're pretty proud of it. And remember, guys, I didn't say this is coming soon. Like, this is in the platform today. Now, we have not announced it just because it's soft launch. We make it available. We'll really be promoting this in a couple of weeks. But guys, this is in Mortgage Coach today, where if you pick debt consolidation analysis in the wizard, and there will be some training videos coming into the advice platform. But if you do that, you can show, hey, here's your current loan. Here, it could be a rate and term refi. And then when you show the debt consol, guys, you got this new little superpower. And guys, this is a fintech tech innovation. There is no fintech company out there that has a debt console this slick, this easy to read, this comprehensive, where, as Julian was telling you all these macroeconomic numbers about debt, you can go micro. Hey, family, what are your debts? You can put those in. You can put in the details of those. And then you can look at, hey, short term, what are some strategies? Hey, long term, what's the impact of that? And then you can net it out like, hey, here's a proposal to consider. Now, at Mortgage Coach, I wanna be clear. Like, we're not like debt consolidation salespeople. We are, let's help families make clear and confident decisions based off of how much debt they have, based off of their goals. We just want to give them the transparency of content and then let the truth speak. You know, I interviewed a loan officer yesterday, and when I interviewed him, I say, hey, pull up 2 TCAs that you're really proud of that really showed the power of Mortgage Coach. And one of them, the borrower didn't do a refi. And he was really proud of the fact that he was able to put Mortgage Coach together. I mean, I was kind of like mixed opinions. I'm like, dude, show like how you want a loan. But this is what he wanted to show. And I was like, how cool is this dude that he did a refi analysis? And the result of that was client said, oh, I might only be in this home for 3 years. 3 years is my break even. No, thank you. I was really proud of that at Mortgage Coach. So guys, we have a debt console. Check it out. So Julian, let's wrap this, call it prep call up in like a minute.
Yep.
And then we'll take the rest of this into our 30-minute. We prepped. You got slides. I got stories. And we bring 30 minutes of 3 badass opportunities for loan officers that want to kill and crush 2021. Give me 1 more minute and then we're going to wrap it.
Yeah, so I won't go into the weeds on move up question today. We'll do it next time, but I will provide that perspective of like, you know, in total new and existing home sales, you'll go from 6.5 million, you know, 2020 to 7.25 million in 21. So home purchases are growing meaningfully next year. And, you know, as usual, about a little over 85% of those are existing. But, you know, if we look at like mortgage units, you know, there's about 9 million loans that are going to get done next year, 9 million. And 60% of those, 5.27 million, are purchase loans, right? That's your market. There's going to be 7.25 million home sales, but there's only going to be about 5.27 million loans. Not only, I mean, it's still a lot, but it is like you have to have your game down because the competition, especially with refis getting cut in half, like we said when we started, that's the play. That's the game that everybody should be playing next year is how are you winning those purchases? Because there's 5.25 million to go around next year. And
how many loans do you think got done this year? You know, like
for a total, you mean in 2020?
2020, how many loans?
11.4 million loans got done, and 6.5 million of those were refis, and 4.9 million of them were purchases.
So little chest pounding in 1 more minute of information. There were 1.7 million total cost analysis created last year.
Wow.
And they were viewed 5.5 million times.
Okay, so that's something we got to do. I want to take that stat and then I'll reconcile it against the national stats because I think that's meaningful.
I do too, guys. Guys, if you're part of the Mortgage Coach tribe, we are changing how people get into debt in America. This is another bitchin' example of how awesome loan officer closed 45 loans in the month that I interviewed her. She did a move up analysis. I will tell this story in a little more how-to detail next time we do it. But just guys, cliff notes, she was able to say, hey, family, you could refi. Maybe she won't be telling families as often like, hey, look at your monthly savings and you could refi. But here's what you guys will be doing more often is saying, hey, you qualify to move up. In this family's case, they qualified for 5% down. And they could move up and their payment would go up $507. People want to know that. Yeah. Maybe they can't afford it. Maybe they can. Now they had equity. This family had 125,000 in equity. Average equity in America right now is like 180 something thousand. So she said, hey, what if you took that 125 and you recasted your mortgage? They could actually get their move up home and lower their price. Now, again, guys, power of mortgage coach. The family said, hey, we like it. Let's move up. But what if we took that money and we invested it with our financial planner? Financial planner is getting 8, but let's make it 6. Guys, this is what you can do as a mortgage coach. She was able to show and vision cast for the family that, look, you could get your dream home, you could move up, you could put some money in the bank, you could earn interest, you could build more net worth. And then, guys, this is what we need to do as loan officers. She's now bringing that back to an agent saying, hey, I turned one of my past clients after going through the numbers. They want to list their home and they want to move up. Can you help them out? So we'll cover that in more details, but I have a feeling when we net out the top 3 pivot opportunities, debt consol is going to be one. And how do we as mortgage advisors, modern mortgage advisors, using mortgage coach, how do we have move up conversations?
And the last one, nobody ever talks about this. You yourself just skipped over it, which is you're like, hey, and then you can go to the realtor. The reason I'm a mortgage coach OG is because I came into the industry. I mean, it's a long time, 18 years ago now, from the money management business. So I was onto the financial advisors day one more than realtors. And that's why I found mortgage coach. So for those of you, people say it, been saying it for years and years at conferences, but it's real. Like financial and wealth advisory business is absolutely real. These folks have not become corporatized like some of the mortgage companies have over time. Like they've become more independent offices, a lot like a lot of the mortgage coach OGs now, the core people of the tribe. Financial advisors are dying for smart mortgage advisors, and they will give you all their business if you present stuff like this, because that's how I built my entire book. I spent my first couple of years building my book only on financial advisors, and I didn't get into realtors till later. And this goes way back, but it's because of this stuff, because you could go to them and be like, look, I got it down. I know what you're doing with them. I can hand you X amount of assets, but I want all your clients, and they have way more client control than realtors do. So that's my closing for today.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's a great tee up because I did a prep call with Wally Elderberry yesterday, and we are getting ready to come live with you around how Wally is doing just that. Yeah. And I also did a post, guys, on LinkedIn yesterday where I did a little summary of a book I wrote in 2007. It was called The Mortgage Planning Handbook. And all of the principles, like I was looking at that handbook that I wrote, it's a book, and it's legit. So getting business from CPAs and financial planners, being a debt manager, maybe that's not the sexiest word possible, but whatever your version of that, guys, it's time has come, and we'll let you know when we do the next call. So hopefully you got value from this. I'm going to stop sharing. Don't leave, Julian.
Okay. See you guys.
Take care, everybody. Hopefully this was valuable for you.